Let me begin with you. I know you took a case with the two Ryan brothers many years ago against your abuser. First of all, Mike, what does today mean for you?
Today really has been a catapult moment for me. It has taken what has happened when I was about 12 years of age, and I've lived with all my life, and for so many other young men and women as well. But it's given it credibility by having the scoping inquiry. We can see exactly how many people have been impacted by this. The fact that it's received so much support from politicians and from on the media as well today really coalesces the support and really gives us a lot more energy to go forward and make sure that we make the most of this, get to the bottom of what's happened, and make sure that we can find a way to make the school system safer in the future.
And Mike, just insofar as you're comfortable talking about it, but what did happen to you as a little boy and what impact did that have on your life?
What happened? Well, when I was about 12, myself and David and Mark, who did the Black Rock Boys documentary, was abused by a priest, Tom O'Byrne, down in Willow Park. He used to take us swimming, David and myself, and he used to, it's not too much detail, he used to make us wear inappropriate clothes. He used to make that were very difficult and so on. We had to perform for him. And then he used to sexually abuse us in the swimming pool. And this went on for about 2 years, but he also did it for me. He abused me in his bedroom in Blackrock College as well. It was a very painful time for me, a time I really felt I had nowhere to go in terms of telling my story, and had to figure out a way on my own how to deal with it. It took a long time to come to terms with it, but I was very lucky that I had a very supportive family that was there for me and gave me support in many ways, and helped me cope with it in lots of ways. But it did have a very serious impact in terms of my life going forward.
And Mark Vincent, I've spoken to you before here on Primetime. I know you were abused in St. Mary's College again by the Puritan priest. What impact did it all have on your life?
It had a profound impact. It changed the course of, I think, everything. But I've had to trace back my life to find out how it might otherwise have been. The issues of abuse for me, which is the importance of today as well, is that we're peeling back the layers that were above us as children. So what was actually going on to allow or permit such abuse to happen? So I was looking at the abuser and victim in the context of then the school. Was the school in any ways responsible? What questions need to be asked and answered by the school system? Was it to do with the order running the school? What questions do they have to answer? And then leading to this bigger issue now, the national issue of this didn't happen in just my school. It didn't happen in Blackrock. It happened in all schools around Ireland. We don't know of any that were actually there was no abuse in such schools. So we're now at that level. We're at the highest level nationally to try answer those sorts of conundrums and questions, which allowed for this element and level of abuse to have prospered and to have continued for so many decades. And yet, why was it never stopped? What was impeding the proper attention to care for children placed in danger and at risk, as we obviously have from the testimony of all of us survivors that you're talking to tonight? That's what this is about for me.
Cornelius, I said there when I was introducing you, like your mother was ill, you were put into guardianship, you ended up in 5 boarding schools where you were abused. What does today mean for you, Cornelius?
For me, it's really about, there's my story, and then there's so many other stories. And it's like, finally, are we at the beginning of telling the story of thousands of children who were victimized, and the ones that are here today, the survivors, myself, Mark Vincent, and many, many others, Mike, and those who didn't survive and didn't make it through. And it's just, it's intolerable that that was allowed to happen for such a long time, because we can go back to the Corrigan report when it was, 1931, they knew this was going on, this was happening. It's just, so for me, that's a really important kind of larger, bigger picture view. Me personally, it's like I didn't start counseling on this until I was 62. I've carried it inside myself all my life. I've been walking around with paranoia going on inside me. I'd be interacting with people and be paranoid about it and not say anything and try and cope with that and try and behave normally for all of my life. I've been depressed, I've been homeless, I've been on drugs. I've just, it's been a mess because I have not been able to trust anyone or trust myself. And I internalized it all as there was something wrong with me. And the truth is, there was nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me. I was in a situation where the adults abused me and the other adults around them did not meet my needs as a child. And here I am, 65, and I'm only beginning to understand what it is, those needs that weren't met, and the needs I have now, and how can those needs be met?
Do you feel hopeful? It's so upsetting to see how upset you've been by everything that's happened to you. Do you feel hopeful tonight, Cornelius, that things might change for you?
Given everything that's happened over, like with all the different inquiries and what's happened with our case, because surely back in 2000, somebody should have put their hands up and said, it's obviously going on in all the boarding schools and all the day schools. And nothing was done, nothing was said, even though there's been many, many cases. So for me, it's less hope, it's more determination. It's more like, where's the solidarity amongst the Irish people? Where's the solidarity within the people who are in authority with us as children and us as wounded adults trying to live with all this?
Mike, what do you want to come now from the statutory inquiry? What's your hope for what will happen?
Just reflecting on what Cornelius just said there, I share very much his view that determination is really what we have at the moment. Through the course of time, the events that happened to me were reported to the school. We took a case. I took a case myself. Every time we took something, nothing concrete happened. We were blocked. We had to go through terrible ordeals when we had to give evidence in court, being marginalized and the crimes being minimalized. I really do think it is determination to keep the conversation going. But what I really want to see happen going forward is that I want to see the people who did this, the religious orders, held accountable. I want to see counseling for the survivors. But I'd like to see the people who actually did the crimes be prosecuted criminally. I'd also like to see if there's a way for the schools to if there's corporate liability for the lack of responsibility they took, if they can be if they can be followed for that. But I also think there's a bigger question in terms of when an institution like the Roman Catholic Church has shown itself to be so derelict in its duty in protecting children it was meant to educate, if there isn't a way that the government can stop subsidizing church-run schools and make sure that the church isn't enabling this type of institution, which has got no moral compass to continue educating Irish children.
Mark Vincent, inquiries, they take an awful long time. Are you concerned about the length of time the statutory inquiry might take and that it mightn't achieve what we just heard Mike and no doubt Cornelius would like to see achieved, but within a shorter time frame?
Evidently, we all would, and obviously we all would like to see that. It's taken 2 years to just do what is a run at this, finding out what is a scoping inquiry for a national inquiry, and now we're going to so-called get into a national inquiry. When they, at the outset of this, both Taoiseach and Taoiseach said that sort of like they were going to speed this up and it was going to be a rapid inquiry, and that was promised. It's been anything but. 2 years to do what this is, just a preliminary. Much of the report, as far as I'm concerned, has not got anything to offer. It's not coming back with there's I worked it out, 149 people are involved in this report, according to itself. It starts out at 205 applicants. 182 get past round one for their submissions to fulfill the questionnaire. After that, those 182 are whittled down to 149 in terms of then going through an interview. So that's all. And I'm thinking, hold on, there's 3,200 schools in the country. What sort of sampling was that to have 149? And can you tell me, was there a fair distribution here? I know that there was a prevalence, we'll say, of response from Spiritan survivors. And good, that was a great thing. But I'm looking, where's the Carmelites and where are the sort of like the Christian Brothers? Where are all those other religious groups and their representatives with regards then survivors and having their say in these matters? So we have a problem already. This national inquiry is looking like it will actually go in the wrong direction, take far too long, and end up as sort of like, I don't know, a paper mountain, which is not what we're looking for. That's not what we're wanting. The points that were made there by Mike and also by Cornelius is how, what you have to put up with. The obstacles that are repeatedly put in your place, where sort of like you're looking for legal redress of the matter, you're looking for the accountability of the religious, and then we're looking at the state. What's the state's part in all of this? We know that the state, Cornelius mentions it there, the Corrigan report of 1931, it's a 5-year study which showed that there were 6,000 children sexually abused in Ireland. That's 6,000 cases. What did they do? They sat on that. They didn't then progress this matter into what was supposed to be a national inquiry. It was a change of government at the time. I'm sorry for this, but I think the listeners need to know this. There was a sitting on that report. It was never implemented till 60 years later in terms of children's welfare. So that in schooling systems in which we were all sent under this School Attendance Act of 1926, they knew about this in 1931 and they did nothing. At this present time, Ireland has denied any responsibility, in fact has gotten as far as a Supreme Court decision and 3 High Court decisions, which blocked the way for all survivors. There's a call there from Mike looking for sort of like, well, what are we going to do about holding the religious or any other group to account now for this historical issue? Well, we're stymied by another change of law. 1997, there was a change in misprison of a felony. In other words, those who facilitated, colluded and assisted in this crime. They're all off the books. None of them can be held accountable. There's no criminality in which we can actually prosecute them. Everyone's saying they wish for this. It's been denied us. It's gone. Okay. Sorry to say.
Well, look, Mark Vincent, no, I can hear your passion.
At the same time, the sun is shining today. We have made huge progress in having this report come out. I think things are the way they are, but we need to use this as a catalyst to move things forward. Things will take time, but the fact that we have the support of the government in doing this, the fact that there's so much resources have gone in to really scoping it for the first time and understanding how big the issue is, I think is a huge step forward and something that we should be optimistic about rather than look for challenges going forward. If we work with the system, I think we're going to reach a good conclusion.
Well, sorry, Cornelius, you want to say one last thing?
Yeah, what I want to say is, when somebody causes harm or hurts somebody, and they put their hands up and say, oh my goodness, I can see what I've done, I can see the harm I've caused. How can I help you? What can I do to make this right? They have respect and they're showing remorse. And then there's action to follow through to show that. And that's when you show you're a human being. That's when you show you're a person, a real person of merit. And that's what we're asking for. And the format that it will take is, as the two lads are talking about, we're looking at a commission of inquiry, and we're looking at, we need support immediately for the challenges we face internally in ourselves and in our lives for something that we had nothing, we are innocent. Even today, we are innocent, and yet we're suffering. So it's like for government and church to put their hands up and say, and not take it personally, but as institutions, we are responsible for what happened. We are responsible for how we reacted to it in a bad way and we obstructed you. We're putting our hands up. Here's all the information you need to know to understand it. Here's the support you need for your life needs,
Yeah.
And then I would take it one step further. There's one other step that I would add to that, if I may. Anyone who's in a position of authority or power over somebody who's vulnerable needs to be trained in trauma-informed training. They need to be somebody who has a qualification, a counselling, and then oversight that detects any kind of, aberration in behaviour. Because sometimes people should I put it like this way, sometimes people will get cross or, they'll shout at somebody in a moment, and that might look bad. And you look at it and you say, you need to know whether that person is just having a moment and do they need some counselling or help so that they don't do that again? Or is this person a bad apple and we need to get them out of the way?